Give yourself permission to bring more of you to your marketing, because that's what the world really needs. Not more cookie cutter approach, but more of you.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Sarah Santacroce. Previously, episode 914 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been just 2 years, 11 months, 7 days, 19 hours, and just over 30 minutes since we last had that recorded conversation.
One thing to remember is that we're all just looking for love and security. So everybody you meet is always kind of looking for the same thing. Sometimes it's important to remind us that even if you meet someone that's, you don't understand the way they're acting, well, maybe they're acting that way because they're also just looking for love and security, and you don't know what's going on in their life right now.
That was then. This is now. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks, Angel. So glad to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you here again. Now, when we first spoke, there were a few things that you covered. Specifically, I believe at that point in time, I think I'll go into the community aspect and the introversion aspect as well, and the way you combine those things. Tell us, what's new in your world? What's the update on that?
Yeah, it's so interesting how life can completely change in such a short time. I wouldn't say completely. I'm still in Switzerland, but I had some kind of big pivoting and changing in terms of my business. When I turned 40, I decided to kind of zoom out again. You know how they teach you to niche down, and that's what I did with LinkedIn, and it's been amazing building that online LinkedIn consulting business. But I'm like, well, that's not all I want to keep doing for the rest of my life. And so I kind of did some deep inner work and figured out that I had to come full circle. And that's where that community aspect kind of comes in, because a story that I've never told before, at least not back in the days of my LinkedIn consulting business, is my growing up. I grew up in a hippie community where my parents bought a building with 5 other families, and we each had our apartment, but we really grew up together. Like, I have one real sister, but I have 3 or 4 other siblings that, we just kind of grew up together. And it's funny how often as we grow up, we want to have nothing to do with what our parents did, right? And so that's kind of what happened to me. And I completely went into the business world. Like, you can't go any more business than LinkedIn. For 12 years, I built this business around LinkedIn. And then I realized, well, there's a whole part of me that I have been hiding, this whole gentle part, this community aspect that also is part of me and that I didn't really find on LinkedIn, or I didn't probably dare bring in it to my work. And so that's why I kind of zoomed out again.
It's great, though, I believe, what you've done. Of course, you've not done it from the point of view that, okay, I'm going to do this until I'm tired and then do something else. But I think it really helps when you basically do what you have done. All right, let me put a metaphor. It's like pulling the bow and arrow, and you're here focusing, and focus was a big thing in our conversation when we last spoke. You're pulling the arrow back on the bow, and you're pulling it back, and it looks as though you're going backwards, right? So for the last 12 years, it could have looked as though you were going backwards, staying in one specific thing, niching down. But now that you've done the reflection and you've done the aiming, if you would, now you get to release that arrow to the target that's there. But what we found is, it's really the traveling of the arrow is where the value is gained. And I equate that to the journey.
Yeah.
And here you go now. You've aimed at the target, which is you doing what you love and are passionate of, which is building community. But you get to experience, like flying through the air, right? Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, that's so totally accurate. I couldn't just start out fresh and say, okay, I'm going to build this community that I call the gentle business revolution, coming from like a corporate environment, and say, here I am, I know how it's done, listen to me. Yeah. No, I have to have actually experienced it and experienced some of the pain as well. And so when I kind of looked at what can I bring? Like my main mission is to bring more empathy and kindness to the business world. And so I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And where do I feel like I have skills to bring to the table? And obviously it had to do with marketing because that's what I've been focusing on for these last 12 years. And that's where I also see a lot of struggle for entrepreneurs. There's a lot of struggle when you ask people about marketing their business. Most people just want to do whatever they are meant to do, but they don't necessarily want to market their business. It comes with a lot of anxiety. First of all, from the entrepreneur's perspective, to actually have to market your business, that creates anxiety. But what I noticed also, there's just a general increase of anxiety because of the marketing that we're exposed to. So like kind of this use of hype and fear and manipulation in marketing that creates a general increase of anxiety. And so I feel like that's where I can bring more of this empathy and kindness to the world, is by saying, well, let's reframe marketing. Let's question all our assumptions. Why do we have to only focus on the pain? That's what we're taught, right? Focus on the pain if you want to sell something. Make people feel really, really bad in their current situation so that they will buy your product. Scare them. We see that in politics as well, right? It's like when you scare people, then they vote for you. Well, it just doesn't help the general feeling. It increases anxiety and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good for the heart-centered entrepreneur to use these techniques. I know because I've been there, and it doesn't feel good for the client either. So,
and the longevity as well. I think that's very important because most of us are coming in here as entrepreneurs and we want to build something that lives past our lives. If you look deep down, of course, there are the entrepreneurs who are money driven and they build something to make money. And we could respect that. But if you're building something that is core to who you are and your brand, then I think longevity is an important aspect. Now, consistency was also something you focused on, and you were writing goals every day, right? When you were at that point. So with LinkedIn, what are you doing now? Has it transformed the way you're approaching it, or are you still applying that technique?
I would say I'm still a big doer. So that kind of grounded, pragmatic part of me, that's still who I am. But what I've learned in the last 3 years is kind of do more of this inner work and look at things from this more yin energy. And like you said, sustainability. So it's less of the let's get things done and have it work tomorrow. It's more like I'm building something lasting. And so, yes, there's some doing, but there's also a lot of surrendering and just having things happen in a way.
So your two sons, how has this affected them, seeing this transformation of focus of their mother?
It's interesting. They're teenagers. They're 13 and 16 right now. And I started meditating when I turned 40 as well. And so every now and then when they're stressed at school or something, I kind of, sneak them a meditation, but they're mostly making fun of it for now. I'm hoping that it will have an impact on them, further down the road where they have had the experience of it and maybe it made them feel good. But right now, everything that comes from the parents is just pretty much a bad idea. So I'm accepting that.
Yeah, it's the teenagers years.
I know.
Yes. I've not been there just yet, but I hear it echoed from my friends. It's like another child in the house, right?
Enjoy while they're still small because
Simplicity is something as well, interestingly enough, back then, right? I mean, you were being called simplicity, right? And it's interesting to me how the business space was putting that attribute on you and that you still found a way to be even more simpler, right?
I never thought of it like that. Yeah, just like focusing on one thing.
So the focus, I think you're still applying the principles. It's just, it feels as though you're walking in more freedom. And I believe it's going to be rather interesting to see how this evolves, because you're going to have a template to compare it with, right? And you're on the journey, and I caught you right in between that, right?
Yes.
But I'm so glad at the same time that I did. Now, you chose one word at the beginning of this, right? Which is gentle. How important is that to you?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. It goes together with the empathy and kindness. So, yeah, if I want to change the way we do business and marketing and just the way we live life, then gentle is my word. I guess it comes together with the introversion as well. And the word I chose for the movement is the gentle business revolution. So it's this paradox between being gentle but also kind of being out there. Revolution is usually like something, tough and not so gentle. So what I like about that is that gentle doesn't mean pushover. Gentle doesn't mean fluff. Gentle doesn't mean only woo-woo stuff that doesn't work. It means that there is a different way to do business and marketing in a gentle way, but still being, successful and having a thriving business, of course, depending on their own definition of success.
Yeah. So where can people find out more or even follow you through this journey or even be a part of this?
People can go over to thegentlebusinessrevolution.com, where I have a podcast with the same name. And I've also written a nice manifesto that people can download. There's no opt-in. It's just an immediate download, a PDF.
Oh my, how gentle is that?
I know. It's like, I want you to be part of the movement. And if it resonates, sure, give me your email. But first, I need to find out if you are the right person for this movement. And you need to find out if this resonates. And so read the manifesto first. And if it does resonate, hey, I'd love to have you join us.
Double S, Super Sarah. Well, Sarah, again, this has been such of a great pleasure connecting, hearing what you're doing, how it's evolved, both inspirational and motivational. Before we leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Well, I think the one thing I want to really have people become more aware, first of all, already about the way we experience marketing today. Like, look at your emails, look at your, the sales pages. Do they resonate with you? So marketing from other people. And then give yourself permission to bring more of you to your marketing, because that's what the world really needs. Not more cookie cutter approach, but more of you.
More of you. Your own unique, real self. Sarah Santacroce, this has been such of a great pleasure. Gentle Business Revolution. Looking forward to learn more about that. Thank you, my friend, for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.